Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Chapter 1. When I had an asthma attack, Oliver was in the middle of the banquet hall, intimately dancing with his pretty secretary. Even as I foamed at the mouth and lost consciousness, the man still held her close, whispering in her ear and laughing softly. On the way home, I found a diamond ring in the glove compartment. Before I could say a word, Oliver snatched it away with a frown and said coldly, "It's not for you." I nodded calmly, pointed to the bridal shop at the corner ahead and said, "Please pull over." The wedding dress I had custom made. Now that I think about it, it's time to return it. As soon as I stepped into the bridal shop, Oliver got out of the car and ran after me. He threw a woman's jacket right in my face. "Laura, would you quit being so careless and leaving your crap everywhere?" Oliver has OCD. He never allows anything of mine to be left in his car. I glanced at the jacket on the floor and said quietly, "It's not mine." Hearing this, his expression softened. He didn't even mind the dirt as he picked it up and neatly folded it. I knew it belonged to Nicole. Every time Nicole accidentally left something behind, it would spark a hysterical argument between Oliver and me. But this time I said nothing. I just turned to the shop assistant and gave her my phone number. The assistant beamed. "You've come at the perfect time. The custom wedding gown and suit are ready for fitting." Before I could decline, the man who just snapped at me was already walking coldly into the fitting room. 10 minutes later, wearing the wedding dress, I stood in front of Oliver. He curled his lips and sneered, "Tacky and tasteless." I didn't argue. I simply asked the shop assistant to take a photo of me. Hearing that, Oliver frowned with irritation and moved toward me, trying to join the photo. Right then his phone rang. It was Nicole's special ringtone. The girl was crying on the other end, complaining that her favorite jacket had gone missing. She said if some kind soul found it and returned it to her immediately, she would repay them with her body and her undying love. As soon as the call ended, Oliver didn't even bother changing out of the tux. He stormed out of the store. Hearing the sound of the car speeding away, I picked up the scissors and without hesitation shredded the wedding dress. 1:30 a.m. I was packing up my personal things when I received a message on WeChat. It was from Oliver. Drinking. After 8 years together, it was rare for him to voluntarily update me on his whereabouts. I glanced at the rubber cleaning gloves in my hand but didn't reply. Once I finished throwing out the trash, I took a long hot shower and fell asleep the moment I hit the bed. The next day, as Oliver returned home, he happened to run into me on my way out with the garbage. He gave me a strange look. "Your phone broken or something?" When I shook my head, he instinctively furrowed his brow. I knew why he was asking. In the past, whenever he stayed out too late, I would flood his phone with texts and calls, unable to rest until I heard from him. But last night, his phone was eerily silent. Just as I was about to step outside, Oliver asked again, "Laura, where's the photo that was on the wall?" I glanced at the trash bag in my hand. I was about to tell the truth, but his phone buzzed. He brushed past me, bumped my shoulder, and pressed the voice message button while walking inside. "Relax, sweetheart. I'll bring it to you as soon as it's done." Hearing the water running in the bathroom, I kept heading downstairs to take out the trash. On my way back up, a wave of dizziness hit me, low blood sugar again. Drenched in cold sweat, I made it home, picked up a fried egg sandwich from the table and took a bite. Just then, Oliver's resentful voice rang out. "Laura, were you a starving ghost in your past life?" I watched stunned as he threw the sandwich, bitten and all, into the trash, plate and everything. I stared blankly at him and asked, "I cooked for you for 8 years. Can't I have one bite of your breakfast when I'm having a hypoglycemic episode?" Oliver's gaze turned icy. "Didn't your parents teach you anything? Taking without asking is stealing." Then he put on his suit, slammed the door and left. Chapter 2. Facing yet another round of Oliver's silent treatment, I instinctively picked up my phone and opened his WeChat profile. He had a new background photo. It was Nicole, acting cute with a pair of cat ears on her head. I gave it a like, then quietly removed him from my pinned chats. Around noon at work, I had arranged to meet an agent to view an apartment. As I stepped into the elevator, I ran into Oliver and Nicole. Nicole's hair was messy, and Oliver was tying it up into a ponytail for her. When she saw me, Nicole instantly put her hands on her hips, pouted, and complained, "Large, yeah, perfect timing. Just look at your Oliver. He keeps tugging my hair like a little boy who never grew up. Ugh, so annoying." Before I could respond, Oliver pinched the tip of her nose flirtatiously and said, "You little liar. Don't you know your nose grows when you lie?" Nicole's cheeks flushed at the teasing. Only then did Oliver finally grace me with a glance. "Lara, what a coincidence. Let's grab lunch together. We've worked in the same office building for 5 years, different companies. And not once, has Oliver ever asked me to lunch during a break. But every day, Nicole posts on social media flaunting every lunch he shares with her. Thinking of that, I smiled and said, "You two go ahead. I've got something to do." Unexpected by my refusal, Oliver's face darkened. But before he could say anything, the elevator jolted violently and plunged into darkness. I turned on my phone's flashlight only to see Oliver holding Nicole tightly, whispering soft reassurances to her. Moments later, the elevator resumed operation. When we reached the ground floor, Oliver offered to give me a ride. Before I could respond, Nicole suddenly fainted. Without hesitation, Oliver shoved past me, scooped her into his arms, and rushed toward the hospital. I quietly picked up my cracked phone from the floor, hailed a cab, and headed to the apartment viewing. Chapter 3. By evening, Oliver personally brought a dessert box to my desk. Just half an hour earlier, I had seen Nicole's latest social media update. "Love is like caring for flowers. Baby can't finish them all. Simply can't finish them." Attached was a photo of an entire table of French desserts. I thanked him politely but didn't open the box. Oliver looked confused. "Lara, why are you being so formal with me?" I didn't answer the question directly. Instead, I said, "If there's nothing else, I need to go print some documents." When I returned with my resignation letter, Oliver was gone. He had left a sticky note that said I should come upstairs to find him when I finished work. I tore the note off and threw it away, along with the dessert. I walked into my supervisor's office and handed in my resignation. She tried to persuade me for a while, but when she saw I was determined, she finally accepted the letter. According to the procedure, once I finish this week's work, I'll be free to leave. That night at 10 p.m., while I was out having dinner with colleagues, Oliver called. A male coworker accidentally answered the call. By the time I took over the phone, Oliver's voice was icy. "Lara, where are you this late at night?" I replied calmly, "Out. Send me your location. I'm coming to get you." And with that, he hung up. I sent him my location and stayed there until the restaurant closed. He never showed up. I opened Nicole's Moments post on WeChat. As expected, she had posted about being sick and hooked up 2 and 4. I took a cab home by myself, washed up, and went to sleep. Chapter 4. Around 3 a.m., Oliver burst in, covered in dust and exhaustion, and shook me awake roughly. His voice was cold as ever.
"Lara, I'm hungry.
Make me a bowl of shepherd's purse wontons." He doesn't like shepherd's purse. He doesn't even like wontons. I knew who wanted them, Nicole. I tried to pull his hand off me, but my fingers brushed the scar on the back of his hand. The fire at the school auditorium years ago. If it weren't for Oliver, I probably wouldn't be alive today. Exchanging a life-saving favor for a bowl of wontons, I guess I still came out ahead. Seeing me silently change clothes and prepare to head out, Oliver grabbed my arm again. For once, his voice held a hint of unease. Maybe wait until morning. It's not that urgent." I cut him off and asked softly, "Is there anything else she wants to eat?" He paused, then let go of my arm. "No," he said. At daybreak, he stood at the door holding the insulated food container. He looked at me and said, "Lara, I'm going abroad next week. I cleared my schedule for this Saturday. Thought I could have dinner with your parents to talk about the wedding." Before he could finish, I interrupted. "No need." Oliver was clearly stunned. "What's that supposed to mean?" I smiled and lied. "They're traveling. Out of town. Won't be back for a while." He stared at me as if he still had more to say, but then his phone rang. He turned away quickly and shut the door without hesitation. Chapter 5. Friday. My last day at work. I had just stepped out of the company when Oliver forcibly dragged me into his car without saying a word. In a high-end restaurant, he was cutting my steak while asking, "What kind of wine do you want?" I scrolled through my phone idly, barely paying attention. "Whatever you choose." My disinterest made his handsome face darken slightly. "Who are you texting?" "No one." Even with that answer, he still snatched my phone from my hand. He scrolled through it back and forth for a while, his gaze turning unreadable. "When did you change your wallpaper?" For all these years, my phone background had been a photo of the two of us. Now it was a picture of my parents' dog. Not in the mood to answer, I got up and headed to the restroom. When I came back, Oliver was gone. Suddenly, the lights in the restaurant dimmed. A waiter slowly wheeled out a cake and a bouquet of flowers. The cart stopped at the table next to mine. A moment later, my phone lit up. It was a birthday message from the telecom company. Chapter 6. As I walked out of the restaurant, I heard a sweet familiar voice ring out. "Wow, Oliver, you're so strong. Push me even higher." It was Nicole squealing with delight as she sat on a swing outside the restaurant, begging Oliver to push her higher and higher. Naturally, her greed for fun had consequences. After a few pushes, she fell straight into his arms. They stared into each other's eyes and held each other tightly for a long while before they finally noticed me standing there. A flicker of annoyance crossed Oliver's face. He looked at me with a blank expression. "Lara, this swing is super fun. Come try it with us." Before he could finish, Nicole's face turned a deep shade of red. She bashfully lowered the arms that had been wrapped around Oliver's neck, clearly reluctant to let go. "Lara, please don't get the wrong idea. Oliver only held me to stop me from falling." Oliver gently ruffled her dark hair and looked at her tenderly. "Silly girl, what's there to explain? As long as you're not hurt, that's all that matters." After coaxing Nicole, all the warmth vanished from his eyes as he turned to me, expressionless. "Already full?" I said nothing. I just walked toward the Ferris wheel nearby. They say if you make a wish on your birthday at the top of a Ferris wheel, it's bound to come true. Nicole watched my back with a mocking glint in her eye. Then she grabbed Oliver's arm and followed after me. "Wow, a Ferris wheel, Oliver. I want to ride it too." When the staff said there were only 2 seats left, Oliver didn't even glance at me. He took Nicole's hand and got on with her. 20 minutes later, when they came down from the ride, Oliver searched the entire mall. But I was already gone. Chapter 7. 8 p.m. I walked out of the bedroom with my suitcase in hand. I left a note with the word breakup written on it, pressed down under the house key. Without looking back, I left. At 11 p.m. my phone rang. It was a call from Oliver. I didn't see it at the time. I was in the living room chatting with my parents. An hour later, he called again. I turned off the screen, powered down the phone, and went to sleep. I slept straight through until noon the next day. When I turned my phone back on, I was surprised to see more than a dozen missed calls. Something nudged at me, so I opened WeChat. There, from the always cold Oliver, I saw something shocking, several messages in a row. "What's with the key and the note? So I forgot your birthday, big deal. Ignoring my calls and texts? Playing hard to get. Do you think that's fun? Lara, I'm giving you 1 hour to get back here. Otherwise, don't ever come back." I noticed the timestamp on the last message, 3 hours ago. I exhaled deeply from the bottom of my heart. Then, with a tap of my finger, I deleted Oliver. Just like that. A knock came at the door. With my permission, my mom came in carrying a glass of warm milk. "Lara, your stomach's sensitive. Drink it while it's still hot." Last night, I came home with a suitcase completely unannounced. And yet my parents didn't ask a single question, they just took care of me like they always have. I hugged my mom's arm, my nose stinging with emotion. "Mom," I said, "I found an apartment I like. It's small, but it's enough to keep me safe from the storm." She smiled gently. "Then buy it. How much are you short? I'll cover the rest." Even though I smiled and shook my head, saying I had enough money, Mom still transferred me 200,000 yuan. She said, "A woman feels truly secure when she has her own home and savings." So I immediately made an appointment with the landlord. We'd sign the lease next Monday. That evening, Dad cooked a full table of delicious dishes. He even bought a cream cake to make up for the birthday I missed yesterday. As I faced the glowing birthday candles, I pressed my palms together and made a quiet, sincere wish. May my parents stay healthy. May everything in life move forward gently and well. Chapter 8. But not long after I blew out the candles, I received an unexpected message. To be precise, several. From different people, but all saying the same thing. Oh my God, Laura. Congrats on finally tying the knot. I'll definitely fly back for the wedding and bring a huge red envelope. Wishing you and Oliver a lifetime of happiness and lots of babies. As I stared in confusion at the flood of well wishes, a WeChat notification popped up. Oliver was requesting to be added as a friend. His message read, Laura, I just announced our upcoming wedding on my Moments. You got what you wanted. Time to stop this drama. At the words stop this drama, I actually let out a small laugh. Seriously, who's the one being dramatic here? Come to think of it, my mom once asked me to send Oliver her WeChat contact. He ignored it completely and never added her. Now I'm actually thankful he didn't. If this absurd stunt had reached my mom, she probably would have had a headache all night. After a moment to collect myself, I began replying to the congratulatory messages one by one, letting everyone know Oliver and I had broken up. Then I posted something on my long unused Moments feed set to public. Even strangers could see it. Don't spread rumors or believe them. I'm single.
No boyfriend.
Not even 2 minutes after that post went live, Oliver called. I didn't answer. But he kept calling. Again and again. So I blocked his number. And just like that, the world fell quiet again. I sank into the soft, comfortable sheets, put on my headphones, closed my eyes and let the music play. Chapter 9. Monday came in the blink of an eye. After enjoying the loving brunch Mom had cooked, I headed to the Housing Transaction Center, light on my feet and perfectly on time. Just as the landlord and I were about to sign the agreement, his phone suddenly rang. He answered it, and within seconds, his expression shifted in surprise. He hesitated for a moment, then handed the phone to me. Miss, this person says they're looking for you. I knew Oliver had connections and influence, but never did I imagine that the cold, rational man I once knew would go to such lengths, just to make me pick up the phone. I walked to a quiet corner and finally lost my patience. Oliver, don't you ever get tired? He clearly hadn't expected me to sound so cold and annoyed. After a long pause, he asked in a low voice, Laura, why did you tell people you're single? Because I am. Oliver let out a mocking laugh. Leaving a key and a cheap note behind. Does that magically make you single again? Laura, for God's sake, I'm begging you, you're almost 30. Can you act a little more mature? We're already engaged. We're going to get married and have kids just like you wanted. With this kind of drama, how do you expect our classmates to show up at our wedding without feeling embarrassed? I pressed my hand to my forehead, suppressing a laugh. There won't be a wedding. What the hell does that mean? Oliver scoffed. Are you seriously breaking up with me? With my eyes lowered, I answered with unwavering calm. Yes. We're done. He didn't say another word. But I could hear the noise in the background. He was at the airport about to board. The landlord, watching me from nearby, looked nervous about the sale falling through. Just as I was about to hang up, Oliver's voice returned, this time softer. Laura, I know you're still mad because I forgot your birthday. I admit that was my mistake. Once I get back from taking Nicole overseas for treatment, I'll make it up to you, I promise. I let him finish. Then I replied flatly, you misunderstood. I'm not angry. And I don't need anything from you. All you need to know is this, we're over. With that, I ended the call and returned the phone to the landlord. I added one last thing. If this number calls again, please block it for me. Chapter 10. After signing the purchase agreement and completing all the paperwork, I quickly received the official RET property certificate, my very first home. I snapped a photo to mark the occasion, then set off to meet a friend as planned. After a joyful evening out, I returned home around 10 o'clock. Volunteering, I took our dog out for a nighttime walk so Dad could rest. But just as I pushed open the glass door of the apartment building, a tall, familiar figure blocked my path. Oliver, dusty, disheveled, and standing right there. Laura, gripping the leash tighter, I instinctively stepped back, my face tense. Don't come any closer. My cold expression clearly stung him, but he ignored my warning and furrowed his brow, moving closer anyway. He opened his mouth as if to speak, but my little dog had already gone into full attack mode, snarling, growling, and barking furiously at him. Oliver seemed unfazed. He kept walking toward me, backing me into a corner. Against the dim light, he stared down at me, cold and unblinking. He said, "Let's talk. I don't want any misunderstandings between us." I frowned. "There's nothing to talk about." He slammed his fist against the wall beside me, trapping me between his arms. "Lara, did you forget we're supposed to be getting married? You think you can just toss out a breakup and walk away like it means nothing? What do you take me for?" Facing his clenched teeth and forced calm, I felt nothing but exhaustion, too tired to even argue. I tried twice to shove him away, but no matter how hard I pushed, he wouldn't budge. My dog kept barking furiously to protect me, its frantic growls echoing through the stairwell, triggering lights on several floors. As more and more neighbors peeked out to see what was going on, I had no choice but to compromise. I didn't want my parents to find out. Chapter 11. Half an hour later at a 24-hour cafe, Oliver stood at the counter and ordered 2 Americanos. One of them, no sugar, extra ice, was placed gently beside me. "Lara, see? I actually remember what you like." I couldn't help but blink and smile faintly. Since I was little, everyone, my parents, relatives, and friends, knew I couldn't stand anything bitter. The only reason black coffee existed in our house was because Oliver liked it. As for extra ice, it was the only way I could make the sour bitterness of the coffee more bearable. We hadn't seen each other in just 2 days, yet somehow he had become much more talkative. Before I could say anything, he continued talking to himself more than to me. "As for your birthday, I owe you an apology. I got caught up with work and got the date wrong. I thought it was next month. But actually, I'd already bought the gift you like." As he spoke, Oliver pulled out a delicate velvet box from the pocket of his suit trousers. Seeing that I made no move to open it, he pressed his lips together and opened it himself, revealing a pair of shimmering, expensive crystal earrings. 2 years ago, he had casually promised me, "I'll pick out a pair of elegant crystal earrings for you tomorrow, perfect for formal events." Now he had finally fulfilled that promise. Too bad, I no longer needed them. "Lara, aren't you going to try them on?" He looked at me with anticipation in his eyes. I paused for a few seconds, then I finally picked up the earrings, those beautiful things I no longer wanted. But I didn't put them on as he expected. Instead, I weighed them lightly in my palm, then turned my wrist and let them fall. They shattered. The broken pieces of crystal scattered, landing on the hem of Oliver's trousers. Only then did I notice. His calf was covered in bloody puncture wounds, ripped open by my dog's teeth. I chose to ignore it. Lifting my gaze calmly, I said, "The gift is ugly. I don't like it. Anything else? If not, I'll be going." The untouched coffee was now spilling out of its cup, squeezed too tightly in his grip. Oliver, once obsessively clean, didn't even glance at the stains soaking his sleeve. With a twitching vein at his temple, he gave a tight, bitter smile. "Lara, how long are you going to keep up this act, huh? You texted Nicole, threatening her into resigning. You deliberately picked the moment before her urgent heart surgery to break up with me. I've let all your nonsense slide out of respect for our past, but now I want to know, what do you actually want? You want to get married right now? Fine. Let's go to the registry. First thing in the morning, we'll get the license." Oliver's handsome face turned dark. He grabbed my arm roughly, yanking me toward him. But when our eyes met, he froze. Because all he saw in mine was indifference. Cold, distant indifference. I shook off his hand, disgusted. I had no desire to defend myself or explain anything about the ridiculous accusations Nicole had thrown at me. I simply said slowly and calmly, "Oliver, let me say this one last time, we've broken up. So rest assured, I won't be marrying you. And I'm not after any of the nonsense you've imagined. If we ever happen to meet at a school reunion in the future, just pretend you've never met me. There's no need for greetings.
No screaming accusations.
No weak tears to annoy him. Just silence." As I calmly stood up, walked to the counter and ordered 3 full sugar lattes. All to go. And at that moment, for the first time, I saw something in Oliver's eyes he'd never shown before, real panic. He rushed out of the cafe, lips pale, and said, "Lara, I was your first love." I looked at him, composed. "So you were the one who blushed when you confessed to me. You were the one who said you'd never liked anyone this much." At our graduation ceremony, we promised, no matter what happens, we'd stay together forever. So, his voice faltered. He started to stammer. So you can't just say it's over because of some emotional fatigue. That's not fair to me. I couldn't help but laugh. You really believed all that sweet talk we said in the honeymoon phase, Oliver? Why would you? I didn't even get to finish. His face darkened with rage as he stormed into the elevator, grabbed my wrist and forcibly yanked me out. Ignoring my struggle, his handsome face tight with fury, he gritted his teeth and said, "Lara, fine. You win. No matter what you ask, I'll agree. Just stop giving me this silent treatment. Stop punishing me." At the word silent treatment, I stared at him baffled. Oliver, do you not understand plain language? How many times do I need to repeat it before you finally let me go? We are over. But even after I said it so clearly, he acted like he hadn't heard a word. His grip tightened on my wrist as he tried to drag me toward the silver car parked a few meters away. At that moment, Paul appeared. He stepped in quick as lightning and grabbed my other arm. Cool and calm, he said, "Lara doesn't want to go with you." Sensing that I was using all my strength to lean toward Paul, Oliver's mouth drew into a hard blade-thin line. With icy sarcasm, he snapped at Paul. "You do know Lara and I are engaged, right? She already said yes to my proposal. In a few days, she'll be my wife. So who the hell are you to interfere in a matter between a husband and his wife?" Paul's grip on my hand tightened slightly. Before he could even find the words to respond, I, already fuming from Oliver's shameless tirade, spoke with a cold smirk. "Paul is my boyfriend, which means my business is his business. But you're just a clingy, disgusting ex who refuses to let go. Where do you get the nerve to bark at my boyfriend like that?" The words had barely left my mouth when Nicole stepped out of Oliver's car, dressed in a hospital gown no less. She leaned delicately against Oliver's side, eyes fluttering with fake innocence, and spoke in a voice dripping with meaning. "Lara, not only were you caught earlier at the banquet making eyes at this man, but now you're hurting Oliver's heart for him too. Have you really become that desperate, sister? It's not even 2 months since you broke up, and you're already rushing to hook up with someone new. God, how could you be like this? Desperate? Flirty?" I accepted Nicole's loaded accusations without flinching, and even went the extra mile with a generous smile. Turning to Oliver, I said, "See how much Nicole cares about you. Honestly, you two are a perfect match. I sincerely wish you both a happy life together. Marriage, stability, everything." Hearing my utterly calm, emotionless blessing, Oliver's face visibly darkened by the second. Nicole's eyes gleamed with smug satisfaction. She opened her mouth, ready to pile on even more insults. But the moment Oliver looked at me and Paul standing together, it was like something in him snapped. Suddenly, he shoved Nicole aside. Chapter 13. Nicole's knee scraped against the rough pavement, her face dazed as she watched Oliver run toward me in a panic. His voice anxious in a way I'd never heard before. "Lara, there's absolutely nothing shady going on between me and Nicole. The only reason she was in my car is because she fainted by the roadside near the office. I had no choice but to take her to the hospital." I found it a bit funny. "And why are you telling me this?" Seeing that I wasn't even slightly upset, Oliver clearly breathed a sigh of relief. "Lara, I just want you to know in my heart it's only ever been you. Always." Realizing he was about to reach out and touch my face, Paul suddenly pulled me into his arms, his voice cold and firm as he stared at Oliver. "Lara is my girlfriend now. Please respect that." Before I could even thank Paul with a look for playing along so well, Oliver grabbed Paul's collar, his face stormy as he swung his fist hard. Paul would have dodged, but he didn't because I was in his arms. He took the hit. Smack. A sharp ringing slap cut through the silence of the parking lot, right after Oliver's punch landed. I had slapped him. Oliver's clenched fist loosened. He stood frozen for several seconds, head turned from the blow. Then he slowly looked back at me, his eyes vacant. He asked, "Lara, are you insane?" He didn't really need an answer. In Oliver's mind, I had to be insane. Otherwise, how could the quiet, obedient girl who had loved him for 8 whole years suddenly hit him? And for a random guy no less? It had to be a dream. But just as he thought that, he looked up and saw me holding Paul's hand, fingers interlaced, softly asking him if he was in pain, if we should go to the hospital. Oliver froze. His eyes reddened, disbelief written all over his face, like the world had collapsed. Still unwilling to give up, Nicole scrambled up from the ground. She no longer bothered hiding the jealousy in her eyes. She pointed at me, furious, and shouted, "You shameless slut! Oliver was going to marry you, and you've been sneaking around with him behind his back this whole time." Back then, when Nicole would whisper lies and twist truths behind my back, I used to tolerate it for many reasons. But now, with her standing right in front of me, slandering Paul to his face as some home-wrecking side guy. Chapter 14. Letting out a cold chuckle, I decisively kicked off my right heel and stormed over to Nicole. In the blink of an eye, I did something absolutely insane, something no one on the scene could have expected. With the filthy sole of my high heel, I slapped her across the mouth over and over. Nicole's eyes went wide as she tried to back away, but I had already yanked her by the hair and held her in place. A few smacks later, that filthy mouth of hers was swollen and bruised, leaving her shrieking and sobbing uncontrollably in pain. Even as I slapped her coldly and mercilessly, Nicole turned tearful eyes to Oliver, silently begging for help. And the funniest part? He didn't move. He just stood there watching, letting her cry, scream, and perform her drama all alone. When I finally flung her off like garbage, he rushed over, not to her but to me. He grabbed my shoe, got down on one knee, and tried to put it back on my foot. "Lara, please don't be mad. I know you're not the kind of woman Nicole claims you are. I finally understand everything. We ended up like this all because Nicole came between us. I promise I'll fire her. I won't show her mercy just because I pity her ever again. Okay, so let's not break up, okay, Lara? I swear I know I was wrong." Glancing at Nicole's humiliated, deathly pale face, I took off my other heel and flung it straight at Oliver's face. "I don't care if you fire 100 Nicoles. It won't change the fact that we've broken up." With that, I turned to leave. But just as I took a step, I felt my skirt being pulled. Oliver's trembling hand had grabbed it. In all the years I'd known him, I had never seen him so lost, so fragile. "Don't go, please, just tell me. Tell me what I did wrong. Why are you being so cruel? Is it really because you're with him now? Lara, I don't believe you could be this heartless." My eyes were full of contempt. "Let go." He shook his head stubbornly, his voice hoarse and trembling. "Lara, look at me. Look me in the eyes and tell me you don't love me anymore. That you love Paul now. Unless you say it to my face, I'll never believe you truly want to leave me." So I did. I turned around and stared straight into his eyes, now bloodshot and on the verge of tears. And I said word for word, "Oliver, I really don't love you anymore. No matter who I love in the future, it will never be you. Do you understand?" Chapter 15. His knees buckled. Oliver collapsed in front of me, kneeling, utterly stripped of dignity. He forced his stiff lips into a smile more pitiful than crying. "It's okay, Lara. As long as I love you, that's enough. You don't have to love me back. Just don't break up with me. I'll do anything you want, even kill someone if that's what it takes." I replied, calm as ever. "I don't need love. That's completely useless. If you ever harass me again, I'll call the police." Oliver blinked. And just like that, the tears he'd been holding back for so long poured down without restraint. "Lara, please don't treat me like this. I know I shouldn't have trampled on your love, ignored your kindness. Why can't you give me one last chance to make it right? I swear I'll show you I've changed." I cut off his delusional rambling. "Oliver, it's too late for everything." Under his lifeless, hollow gaze, I got into Paul's car and left without looking back. In the car, I apologized for dragging Paul into the drama and for getting him punched. But he just chuckled casually. "Next time something like this comes up, call me first." After he dropped me off safely downstairs, Paul added, "If Oliver ever shows up again, call me, no matter the time." I nodded, smiling as we agreed to have dinner next weekend. 1 month later, on an ordinary night, I got a call from an unfamiliar landline number. It was Oliver. He sounded sick, weak, coughing endlessly on the other end. "Lara, don't hang up. I just want to ask you one thing. Did you ever love me?" I didn't even look up.
No.
I hung up, put the phone down, and kept watching my variety show. Chapter 16. It wasn't until 2 days later that I found out through our alumni chat group. Oliver had been caught in an arson at his company. He was still in the hospital, his condition uncertain, hovering between life and death. The fire was started by Nicole. After being fired, she lost control. Dragging her barely functioning body, she locked the office doors, attempting to die together with Oliver. Reading the official police report, I finally realized it had been Oliver near death who called me that night. How unlucky. In front of the movie theater, I mumbled under my breath. Paul, who was buying the tickets, looked over. What did you just say, Lara? I didn't catch that. Nothing. Closing the group chat, I leaned closer to look at his phone and asked, "Did you get the tickets? What time's the show?" "Yup. Starts in half an hour. Just enough time to grab your favorite milk tea." Grinning, Paul took my hand and led me downstairs to the shopping area. On the way, he bought me snacks and trinkets, his arms so full of shopping bags it looked more like a New Year haul than just a movie date. After the movie, we headed to the parking lot. Paul handed me the keys and said, "Can you pop the trunk and grab something for me?" I opened the trunk, and as I had already guessed, there were flowers, balloons, everything prepared. Paul looked visibly nervous. "Lara, would you be my girlfriend?" Without hesitation, I laughed and took his hand. Of course. Life is long and winding, but in every twist and turn, we'll always meet the next someone.